Captain Jake Morrison stood in front of the big screen on his ship's bridge. His hands were behind his back, and his face showed no emotion, but inside, his heart was beating fast. Today was the day humans would finally get an answer from the Galactic Council. After 3 years of waiting, they would know if Earth could join the alliance of star nations. The screen flickered to life. Strange alien faces appeared, each one different from the next. The Zephyrians looked like walking crystals that glowed with inner light. The Cathari resembled giant insects with sharp claws. The Vorthons floated like jellyfish in tanks of liquid. All of them stared at Morrison with what looked like disgust. Lieutenant Amy Foster stood beside her captain. She was young but tough, with short brown hair and steady green eyes. Behind them, the rest of the crew watched in silence. Chief Engineer Carlos Rivera wiped his hands on a rag, nervous energy making him fidget. Dr. Lisa Hayes, their best scientist, held a tablet with all the data they had prepared for this moment. The Zephyrian speaker began to talk. Its voice came through the translator as cold and final. The species known as humans has been studied for the required time period. We have watched your behavior, tested your abilities, and examined your world. Morrison felt his jaw clench. He could sense something bad coming. Your planet Earth has been classified as a Class 12 death world. This is the highest danger rating we give to any planet. Most Council species would die within hours on your world. The gravity is too strong. The weather is too violent. The animals are too dangerous. Even your plants can kill. Dr. Hayes stepped forward. But we've shown you our peaceful intentions. We've shared our art, our music, our literature. We've proven that we can work together and solve problems without violence. The Cathari delegate clicked its sharp mandibles together. The sound made several crew members wince. Your intentions do not matter. What matters is what you are. You come from a world of death. You evolved as hunters and killers. Every day of your existence has been a fight to survive. Morrison's hands formed fists behind his back. We've moved beyond that. We have laws, governments, peace treaties. We've stopped most wars on our planet. The Vorthon floated closer to its camera. Its body pulsed with colors that hurt to look at. You stopped wars by building weapons that could destroy your entire world. This is not evolution. This is madness. You keep deadly animals as companions, the Zephyrian continued. You eat the flesh of other creatures. You poison yourselves with alcohol and call it entertainment. You jump from high places for fun. You race vehicles at speeds that would terrify most species. Amy Foster felt anger rising in her chest. Those things don't make us evil. They make us human. Exactly, the Cathari hissed. And that is why you cannot join us. The lead Zephyrian's crystals glowed brighter. The Galactic Council has reached a unanimous decision. Humanity is rejected for membership in the Galactic Alliance. Furthermore, your expansion into space is forbidden. You will return to your homeworld immediately and remain there. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of the ship's engines. Morrison felt like he had been punched in the stomach. 3 years of preparation, decades of dreaming, centuries of looking up at the stars and wondering what was out there. All of it crushed in a few words. Dr. Hayes found her voice first. You can't do this. We have rights. We have dreams. We want to explore, to learn, to meet other species, and share what we know. The Vorthon's color shifted to what might have been amusement. Rights are given by those with power. You have the power, you do not. Your dreams are irrelevant. Carlos Rivera muttered something in Spanish that made the translator pause. The alien delegates probably didn't want to know what. He had said, "What if we refuse?" Morrison asked quietly. All 3 alien faces showed surprise. Clearly, no species had ever asked that question before. The Zephyrian's glow turned angry red. Then you will face the consequences. The Galactic Alliance has fleets that number in the thousands. We have weapons that can crack planets. We have been keeping peace in this galaxy for over 1,000 years. Peace through fear, Amy Foster said, her voice steady despite her anger. Peace through order, the Cathari corrected. Something your species clearly does not understand. You have had weapons capable of destroying your world for less than a century, and you have nearly used them multiple times. You fight wars over resources that could be shared. You kill each other over ideas and beliefs." Morrison looked around. At his crew, these were good people. Scientists who had given up comfortable lives on Earth to push into the unknown. Engineers who had worked 18-hour days to build humanity's first real starship. Soldiers who had sworn to protect not just their own people, but any innocent life they might encounter. "We're not perfect," he admitted, "but we're trying to be better. Every generation of humans has been a little less violent, a little more understanding than the one before. We've made mistakes, but we learned from them." The Vorthon pulsed with what looked like impatience. "Learning from mistakes is inefficient. It is better to never make mistakes at all." Dr. Hayes shook her head. "That's not how growth works. That's not how life works. You can't discover new things without taking risks. Can't solve new problems without trying new solutions. And that," the Zephyrian said with finality, "is exactly why you are too dangerous to be allowed among civilized species. You take risks. You try new things. Change and adapt and grow. Stable civilizations do not do these things." Morrison felt a cold understanding wash over him. These aliens weren't rejecting humans because they were evil or violent. We're rejecting them because humans were still growing, still changing, still becoming something new. The aliens had found their perfect societies and stopped evolving. They were afraid of anything that might upset their careful balance. "So this is it?" he asked. "Go home and stay there forever?" "Forever is a long time," the Cathari said. "Perhaps in a few thousand years your species will become more stable, more predictable, less dangerous. Then we might reconsider." Amy Foster laughed, but there was no humor in it. "A few thousand years? You want us to sit on our hands for a few thousand years and hope you change your minds?" "We want you to evolve beyond your violent nature," the Zephyrian replied. Morrison looked at each of his crew members. He saw anger in their faces, but also determination. These people had not come this far to give up now. They'd left behind everything they knew to reach for the stars. Being told to go home and wait was not an option they would accept. "I understand your position," Morrison said carefully, "but I think you misunderstand ours." The aliens waited for him to continue. "Humans don't just give up," he said. "It's not in our nature. When someone tells us something is impossible, we find a way to do it anyway. When someone says we can't go somewhere, we go there. When someone says we don't belong, we prove them wrong." The Zephyrian's crystals flickered with uncertainty. "You cannot fight the entire galaxy." Morrison smiled for the first time since the conversation began. It was not a friendly smile. We'll see about that. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the human crew alone with their thoughts. The bridge was quiet for a long moment. Then Amy Foster spoke up. "Orders, Captain?" Morrison stared at the blank screen where the alien faces had been. He thought about Earth, beautiful and dangerous, where every living thing had to fight to survive. He thought about humanity's long journey from caves to cities to stars. He thought about all the times someone had said humans couldn't do something and how wrong they had been. "Set course for the Kepler system," he said quietly. "We have work to do." 3 months had passed since the Galactic Council told humans they were too dangerous for space. 3 months since Captain Morrison decided that humans would reach for the stars anyway. The mining ship U.S. Perseverance drifted through an asteroid field, far from Earth and far from any alien worlds. Captain Bobby Chen stood on the bridge watching his crew work. Chen was a big man with calloused hands and tired eyes. He had spent 20 years mining in dangerous places on Earth. Before volunteering for this mission, his crew of 40 was made up of miners, engineers, and security guards who all knew they might never see home again. "Asteroid field looks good, Captain," said Navigator Helen Park. She was young but smart, fresh out of the Space Academy. "Lots of rare metals, iron, platinum, uranium. Everything we need to build colony ships." Chen nodded. They had been searching for 3 weeks to find the right place to start mining. The asteroid belt was an unclaimed space, far from any alien territory. At least that was what their maps said. "Mining Chief Rodriguez, deploy the drones," Chen ordered. Tony Rodriguez grinned as he worked his controls. He was from Mexico and had worked in copper mines since he was 16. Space mining was different, but rocks were rocks no matter where you found them. Drones away, Captain. Beginning extraction in Sector 7. The massive mining drones flew out from the ship like metal birds. Each one was the size of a small building, equipped with lasers and scoops to break apart asteroids and collect the pieces. It was beautiful and terrible to watch them work. Communications Officer Danny Wright suddenly looked up from his station. Wright was nervous by nature, always worried about something going wrong. Today his worry was justified. Captain, I'm picking up a signal. Something big coming our way. Chen felt his stomach drop. They all knew this moment might come. Put it on screen. The main display flickered and showed a sleek alien warship approaching fast. It was twice the size of the Perseverance and covered in weapons. The ship's hull was smooth and silver, nothing like the rough industrial design of human vessels. They're hailing us, Wright reported. Let's hear it. The screen changed to show a Zephyrian commander. Its crystal body glowed angry red, and its voice was cold as ice. Human vessel, you are violating galactic law. This system is under Alliance protection. Cease all mining operations immediately. Chen looked around at his crew. They were scared, but determined. These people had left everything behind to help humanity build a future among the stars. They weren't going to give up now, Commander. This is unclaimed space according to our star charts. We're not bothering anyone out here. The aliens' crystals pulsed faster. All space belongs to the Galactic Alliance. Your presence here is illegal. You were ordered to return to your homeworld. And we chose not to follow that order, Chen said simply. The Zephyrian seemed shocked. What? Probably no one had ever talked back to them before. Dr. Patricia Stone stepped up beside Chen. She was a rock specialist who had spent years in Antarctica studying ice cores. She knew how to stay calm when things got dangerous. Commander, we humans have been exploring and mining for thousands of years. We've crossed oceans, climbed mountains, and dug into the deepest parts of our world. We're not going to stop now. Just because you tell us to, the alien commander's glow grew brighter. Your reckless nature is exactly why you must be controlled. You take resources without permission. You go places without asking. You do things without thinking about consequences. Security Chief Victor Hayes moved closer to Chen. Hayes was an ex-soldier who had fought in 3 different wars on Earth. He understood when diplomacy was about to fail. His hand rested on his weapon, ready for trouble. The only consequence. I'm worried about, Chen said, as my people not having the materials they need to build new homes. We're not hurting anyone. We're just trying to survive. Tony Rodriguez looked up from his mining controls. Captain, the drones have collected about 12 tons of processed ore. Should I bring them back? Chen looked at the alien commander on the screen. Zephyrian was clearly waiting for the humans to back down, to apologize, and run away like scared children. But these weren't children. These were adults who had made a choice to risk everything for freedom. Keep mining, Tony. Alien commander's crystals flared with rage. This is your final warning. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. Dr. Stone stepped forward again. Her voice was steady and strong. Commander, you keep talking about consequences. But have you thought about the consequences of trying to stop us? We didn't come out here to fight, but we didn't come here to surrender either. Hayes nodded agreement. My people have a saying, don't start a fight, but always finish one. We just want to be left alone to do our work. The Zephyrians seemed confused by their calm defiance. Most species probably begged or ran when faced with a warship. Humans just stood their ground and kept working. Cannot win against us, the commander said. Our weapons are more advanced. Our shields are stronger. Our technology is superior in every way. Chen smiled grimly. Maybe so. But there's one thing. You don't have that we do. What is that? Nothing left to lose. The truth of those words hung in the air. Every person on the Perseverance had given up their old life to be here. Had no homes to go back to, no safe places to hide. They could only go forward or die. Trying engineer Maria Santos worked frantically at her station. She was small but tough, with grease under her fingernails and determination in her eyes. Captain, I can reroute power from life support to boost our shields. It'll be uncomfortable, but we can take more punishment. Do it, Chen ordered. Navigator Park looked at her display. Sir, there are 17 more asteroids with high metal content within drone range. We could collect enough material for 3 colony ships if we work fast. The alien commander was losing patience. You have 30 seconds to comply with our demands. Hayes checked his weapons. Captain, our mining drones have industrial lasers. They're not military grade, but they could do damage if we get creative. Chen considered their options. They could run, but then humanity would lose precious resources and show weakness to the aliens. They could surrender, but that would mean giving up on the dream of human expansion. Or they could fight a battle they would probably lose, but at least they would go down swinging. Tony, how long to finish mining the current asteroid? Rodriguez checked his instruments. 8 minutes, Captain. Then we need to buy 8 minutes. Chen turned to the communications officer. Danny, open a channel to the alien ship. The Zephyrian. Commander appeared on screen again, its crystals now blazing with anger. Commander, you asked about consequences, Chen said. Here's one you might not have considered. If you attack us, word will get back to Earth. Humans will know that the Galactic Alliance shoots first and asks questions later. They'll know that you're not the peaceful civilization you pretend to be. The alien paused. Your opinion of us is irrelevant. Dr. Stone shook her head. Not just our opinion, the opinion of every species watching this. How will it look when the mighty Galactic Alliance destroys a mining ship full of scientists and workers? What will other species think when they hear you killed people whose only crime was digging rocks out of empty space? Hayes added his own thoughts. And what happens when more human ships come looking for us? Because they will come. We don't. Abandon our people. The Zephyrian commander was clearly struggling with the situation. The Alliance probably had rules about attacking non-military vessels. But they also had orders to keep humans confined to their home system. You leave us no? Choice, the commander finally said. Chen looked around at his crew one last time. They were afraid, but not backing down. Patricia Stone gave him a small nod. Maria Santos finished her power rerouting. Victor Hayes readied the improvised weapons. Tony Rodriguez kept his mining drones working. No, Commander, Chen said quietly. You had a choice. You could have left us alone. Instead, you chose to be bullies. The alien warship opened fire. The alien warship's first blast hit the Perseverance like a hammer. The whole ship shook, and sparks flew from damaged systems. Emergency lights flickered on as the main power went down. Captain Chen grabbed his chair to keep from falling. Damage. Report, he shouted over the noise. Engineer Maria Santos worked frantically at her controls. Hull breach on Deck 3. Shield generators at 60%. We're losing air fast. Security Chief Hayes was already moving. I'll get damage control teams to Deck 3. Maria, seal off that section. The alien ship fired again. This time, the Perseverance was ready. The shields held, but barely. Tony, how are those mining drones? Chen asked. Mining Chief Rodriguez grinned despite the danger. Still working, Captain. And I just had a crazy idea. I like crazy ideas right now. Rodriguez's fingers flew over his controls. Mining drones have industrial cutting lasers. They're meant for breaking rocks, but rocks and ship hulls are made of similar stuff. Chen understood immediately. Turn the drones into weapons. Already on it, boss. On the main screen, they could see the alien ship preparing for another attack. The Zephyrian commander appeared again, his crystal body glowing with satisfaction. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick. The alien said. Dr. Patricia Stone stepped forward, blood running from a cut on her forehead. Commander, you just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. The alien laughed, a sound like breaking glass. What mistake? You are helpless. Your ship is damaged. Your weapons are useless. Our mistake would be giving up, Stone replied. Your mistake is thinking we would. Navigator Helen Park looked up from her station. Captain, I'm picking up more signals. 3 more Alliance ships heading our way. Chen felt his heart sink. One alien warship was almost too much. 4 would be impossible. But then he looked around at his crew and saw something that surprised him. They weren't giving up or getting angry. "Maria, how much power can you give us?" Santos wiped sweat from her face. "I can pull everything from non-essential systems, life support, artificial gravity, even the coffee makers. It'll give us one big burst of energy, but after that we'll be running on fumes." "Do it." The ship's lights dimmed as Santos rerouted every bit of power to shields and weapons. The artificial gravity failed, making everyone float in their seats. But the shields glowed brighter, and the mining drones moved faster. Hayes coordinated the damage control teams through his communicator. "Deck 3 is sealed. We've lost 12% of our air supply, but we can breathe for now." Rodriguez launched his improvised attack. 6 mining drones swarmed toward the alien warship like angry hornets. The Zephyrian commander seemed confused by the strange tactic. "What are those primitive devices supposed to accomplish?" the alien asked. Chen smiled coldly. "You're about to find out." The mining drones reached the alien ship and began cutting through its hull with their industrial lasers. The aliens had shields designed to stop energy weapons and missiles. They had never faced tools meant for breaking apart asteroids. The cutting beams sliced through the alien hull like butter. Alarms began sounding on the Zephyrian ship. Commander's confident expression changed to alarm as his vessel shuddered under the unexpected attack. "Possible," the alien muttered. "Our shields should stop those crude weapons." Dr. Stone laughed, despite their desperate situation. "Your shields stop weapons. These aren't weapons. They're tools. It's a difference." The alien ship's return fire destroyed 2 of the mining drones, but the other 4 kept cutting. An atmosphere vented from holes in the alien hull. For the first time, the Zephyrian commander looked worried. Communications officer Danny Wright suddenly perked up. "Captain, I'm getting a transmission from the approaching ships, but it's not what you'd expect. Put it through." A new alien face appeared on a smaller screen. This one was different from the Zephyrians. It had blue skin and large eyes, and it didn't look hostile. "Human vessel. This is Captain Deezes of the Kithera Republic. We have been monitoring your situation." Chen didn't know what to make of this development. "Are you here to help the Alliance?" "No," Thesis replied simply. "We are here to help you." The Zephyrian commander overheard and turned toward the new speaker. "You cannot interfere. This is Alliance business." "This is Galaxy business," the blue-skinned alien replied, "and we have watched long enough." 3 Kithora ships dropped out of hyperspace near the battle. They were smaller than the Alliance warship, but faster and more maneuverable. They immediately moved to protect the Perseverance. Captain Thesis continued speaking. "We have observed this conflict from the beginning. Humans requested permission to mine in unclaimed space. They harmed no one and threatened no one. You attacked them for the crime of existing." The Zephyrian commander's crystals flared with rage. "They are Deathworlders. They are dangerous by nature." "Dangerous to whom?" Thesis asked. "They could have fled when you arrived. Instead, they stood their ground to protect their mission. They could have used their mining equipment as weapons from the start, but they tried to talk first. These are not the actions of mindless killers." Chen felt a spark of hope. For the first time since leaving Earth, humans had found aliens who didn't automatically see them as monsters. Hayes reported from his position. "Captain, the Alliance ship is retreating. Our mining drones did more damage than expected." Screen, they could see the Zephyrian warship pulling back. Atmosphere continued to leak from multiple hull breaches, and several of its weapon systems appeared offline. The Zephyrian commander made one last attempt to control the situation. "You are making a mistake. The Alliance will remember this." "Good," the Kithera captain replied. "Maybe it will remind them that peaceful species should not be attacked for trying to survive." As the Alliance ship limped away, Captain Thesis opened a direct channel to the human vessel. "Captain Chen, we would like to speak with you properly. May we come aboard?" Chen looked around at his floating crew. The ship was damaged. They were low on air, and they had just fought their first battle against superior technology. But they had won. More importantly, They had found an ally. Permission granted, Captain Thesis. Fair warning, though, our artificial gravity is offline. The Cathora laughed, a sound like wind chimes. We are used to zero gravity. It will not be a problem. An hour later, Captain Thesis floated in the Perseverance's main conference room. The alien was tall and thin, with blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. Its large eyes showed intelligence and curiosity. We have been watching your species. For some time, Thesis explained. The Alliance fears you because you are different. You adapt quickly. You solve problems in unexpected ways. You refuse to give up when things become difficult. Dr. Stone, now with a bandage on her forehead, leaned forward. And that makes us dangerous? It makes you valuable, Thesis corrected. My people have grown comfortable with peace. We have forgotten how to face real challenges. The Alliance species are even worse. They have become so focused on maintaining order that they cannot handle change. Rodriguez, still proud of his mining drone victory, asked the obvious question. So why are you helping us? Thesis was quiet for a moment. Because we remember stories from our ancient past. Stories of a time when our people were explorers and adventurers. We see that spirit in you humans. We do not want it to be destroyed. Chen felt a weight lifting from his shoulders. What happens now? Now you finish your mining operation, Thesis said. My ships will escort you to ensure no further interference. And when you are ready, we would like to discuss a formal alliance between our peoples. Hayes looked suspicious. What's the catch? What do you want from us? Thesis smiled, an expression that looked strange on the alien face, but somehow comforting. We want to remember what it feels like to dream of something better, and want to learn from teachers who never stopped reaching for the stars. Santos worked to restore ship systems while the conversation continued. The Alliance won't like this. They'll send more ships. Let them come, Thesis replied. They will find that the galaxy is larger than they think, and not everyone agrees with their vision of order. Park checked her navigation systems. Captain, we have enough materials now to build 3 colony ships. Maybe 4 if we're careful. Chen nodded. The mission was a success, but more than that, humanity had taken its first step toward building something new in the galaxy. They weren't alone anymore. Set course for the next asteroid field, he ordered. We have more work to do. The Perseverance and its Kithra escorts moved deeper into space. Word began to spread through underground channels. The Deathworlders had fought the Alliance and won. They had found allies among the stars. They were not going home. 6 months after the mining ship incident, the war had spread across 12 star systems. The Galactic Alliance called it a police action to contain dangerous criminals. Humans called it a fight for survival. The truth was somewhere in between. Written in the wreckage of ships and the courage of ordinary people doing extraordinary things, the colony of New Austin on Proxima Centauri was humanity's first real test. 2,000 settlers had turned a barren world into a thriving community. They had farms, factories, schools, and hope for the future. Now a massive Alliance fleet was coming to destroy it all. Governor Pete Williams stood in the colony's command center, looking at the tactical display. He was a farmer by training, not a soldier. But war had a way of changing people. Around him, colonists worked frantically to prepare their defenses. How long until they arrive? Williams asked. Colonel Frank Torres checked his instruments. Torres was a retired Marine who had come to New Austin to grow vegetables and raise his children in peace. Peace, it seemed, was not an option. 18 hours, Governor, maybe 20 if we're lucky. Williams nodded grimly. The Alliance fleet numbered 40 ships, including 3 massive dreadnoughts. New Austin had defensive satellites, ground-based, weapons, and the determination of people fighting for their homes. It would have to be enough. Commander Rosa Torres, Frank's wife, worked at the Orbital Defense Station. She had been a Navy officer before retirement, and now she was back in uniform. The irony was not lost on her that they had come to the stars to escape war, only to have war follow them. Defensive grid is online, Rosa reported through the communicator. All satellites are armed and ready. We have enough firepower to hurt them, but not enough to stop them. Colonists had spent months preparing for this day. Every building was reinforced. Every street had barricades. Every citizen knew how to use a weapon. The children had been evacuated to underground shelters, but the adults stayed to fight. Sergeant Bill Jackson led a squad of volunteers through the main settlement. Jackson was a construction worker who had helped build most of the colony's buildings. Now he was helping turn those same buildings into fortresses. Remember, the Alliance has never fought a real ground war, Jackson told his people. They're used to species that surrender after the first battle. We're going to teach them different. Lieutenant Kate Nelson worked with the engineering teams to set up defensive positions. Nelson had been a police officer on Earth, skilled at dealing with dangerous situations. New Austin was definitely a dangerous situation. The fusion plant makes a good stronghold, she reported to Torres. If they want to take the colony, they'll have to go through us first. Dr. Andrew Clark ran the medical center that would soon become a battlefield hospital. Clark had been an army medic before becoming a colonist. He understood that in war, the difference between victory and defeat often came down to who could keep fighting longest. We have supplies for a long siege, Clark told the governor. Food, water, medical equipment. These people are tough. They've survived building a new world from nothing. They won't give up easy. Nurse Carol Brooks organized the civilian volunteers. Brooks had raised 5 children on Earth before coming to New Austin to start over. She knew how to manage people under pressure, and pressure was all they had now. The families with combat experience are taking the outer perimeter, Brooks reported. Everyone else is supporting them with supplies, communications, and medical aid. Even the teenagers want to help. Engineer Greg Barnes worked frantically to modify mining equipment into weapons. Barnes had learned his trade in the asteroid belt, where every machine was a potential tool for survival. Now, survival meant fighting off an invasion. I've got the mining lasers rigged as anti-aircraft guns, Barnes told Torres. They're not military grade, but they can punch holes in small ships. The excavators are set up as mobile weapons platforms. The Alliance fleet arrived exactly on schedule, dropping out of hyperspace like a swarm of metal locusts. The lead ship immediately began broadcasting surrender demands. Illegal human settlement, you are in violation of galactic law. Surrender immediately, and your deaths will be quick. Resist, and you will suffer. Governor Williams took the microphone himself. His voice was calm and steady, the voice of a man who had made peace with his choices. Alliance Fleet, this is Governor Williams of New Austin. We are not an illegal settlement. We are human beings exercising our right to exist. You want our world? Come and take it. The Alliance commander, a Ketheri general named Thrak, was confused by the response. Most species begged for mercy or tried to negotiate. Humans just said no and prepared to fight. Cannot win, General Thrak broadcast. We have 40 ships and advanced weapons. You have mining equipment and desperation. Williams smiled grimly. General Desperation is the most powerful weapon in the galaxy. You're about to learn why. The battle began with an orbital bombardment that lit up the sky like fireworks. The Alliance ships targeted military installations, communication arrays, and power plants. But the colonists had expected this and built everything underground or in hidden locations. Rosa. Torres coordinated the defensive satellites from her hidden bunker. All units, fire at will. Make every shot count. The satellites launched their missiles in carefully coordinated waves. They were outgunned, but they used tactics the Alliance had never seen. Instead of fighting ship to ship, they attacked in groups, focusing all their firepower on single targets. The first Alliance destroyer died in a ball of fire as 12 missiles hit it simultaneously. The second fell to a barrage from the mining laser platforms. By the time the Alliance destroyed the satellite network, they had lost 6 ships and taken damage to a dozen more. General Thrak was furious. Land the troops. Take the colony by force. The landing began at dawn. Thousands of Alliance soldiers descended from the sky in armored transports, expected to find scattered resistance from frightened civilians. Instead, they found a carefully planned defensive network operated by people who refused to retreat, Colonel Torres had divided the colony into defensive zones, each one capable of independent operation. When the Alliance broke through one position, they found another one waiting. When they destroyed a weapons emplacement, two more opened fire from hidden locations. Sergeant Jackson's team held the main street for 6 hours against overwhelming odds. They used improvised explosives, sniper fire, and knowledge of local terrain to make every Alliance advance costly. Fall back to secondary positions, Torres ordered when the outer defenses finally cracked. Make them pay for every building. Lieutenant. Nelson's engineers had turned the colony into a maze of traps and ambushes. Alliance soldiers found doors that exploded when opened, streets that collapsed under heavy vehicles, and buildings that were empty except for booby traps. Dr. Clark worked around the clock treating wounded defenders. The underground hospital was crowded with injured colonists, but morale remained high. People joked between surgeries and shared their last rations with wounded comrades. "They're not breaking," Clark reported to the governor. "These people are hurt and tired, but they're not giving up." The fighting continued for 6 days. The Alliance had superior numbers and equipment, but the humans had something the aliens couldn't understand. They fought not just for their lives, but for their right to dream of something better. On the 6th day, General Thrack requested a meeting with Governor Williams. They met in the ruins of what had been the colony's school, surrounded by the evidence of stubborn human resistance. "Why do you continue?" Thrack asked. His insect features showed genuine puzzlement. "You cannot win. Half your people are dead or wounded. Your infrastructure is destroyed. What is the point of further resistance?" Williams looked around at the damaged buildings, then back at the alien general. "General, you've been fighting us for 6 days. In that time, have you seen a single human surrender?" Thrack thought about it. "No, your people fight until they die, or we capture them unconscious. That's your answer right there." Continue, "Because giving up isn't in our nature. You can kill us all, but you can't make us quit." The alien general was quiet for a long moment. "This is not how civilized species behave." Williams laughed, but there was no humor in it. "That's the problem with civilization, General. Maybe being civilized means you forget how to fight for what matters." As if summoned by his words, alarms began sounding throughout the ruined colony. New ships were dropping out of hyperspace, but these weren't Alliance vessels. Human reinforcements had arrived, along with their Kithra allies. The tide of war was about to turn. The human reinforcement fleet arrived like thunder from a clear sky. Admiral Kevin Walsh commanded the UES Constitution, humanity's newest battleship, as it dropped out of hyperspace with 20 other vessels. Behind them came Kithra ships, Selvan cruisers, and even some Zephyrian rebels who had grown tired of the Alliance's iron rule. General Thrack watched from the surface of New Austin as his orbital fleet scrambled to meet this unexpected threat. The Alliance had been winning the ground war, but space battles were different. The humans had learned from their early defeats and built ships designed for one purpose: fighting. All Alliance vessels formed defensive positions, Thrack ordered through his communicator. "Protect the troop transports at all costs." Admiral Walsh stood on the Constitution's bridge, studying the tactical display. Walsh was an old sailor who had commanded ships through 3 wars on Earth. He understood that battles were won not just with superior firepower, but with superior will. "Captain Murphy, signal the fleet. Attack formation Gamma. Target their command ships first." Captain Janet Murphy nodded from her position at the tactical station. Murphy was a former Marine who had volunteered for space duty when the war began. She understood both ground combat and naval tactics, a combination that made her invaluable. "All ships responding, Admiral. The Kithra are moving to flank their left wing. The Selvans are targeting their supply ships." Intelligence Chief Ryan Bell monitored Alliance communications from his station. Bell had spent years studying alien psychology and behavior patterns. What he heard in the enemy transmissions surprised him. "Admiral, the Alliance commanders are arguing among themselves. Some want to retreat, others want to fight to the death. They're not used to facing real opposition." Dr. Rebecca Turner, the fleet's chief psychologist, listened to the alien chatter with growing understanding. Turner had studied how different species reacted to stress and conflict. The Alliance was fracturing under pressure. "They've never faced an enemy that wouldn't surrender," she explained to Walsh. "Their entire military doctrine is based on showing overwhelming force until the enemy gives up. When that doesn't work, they don't know what to do." The space battle raged for hours. Alliance ships had better shields and more powerful weapons, but human vessels were faster and more maneuverable. More importantly, human crews fought with a desperate creativity that confounded their enemies. Lieutenant Commander Steve Roberts coordinated the Constitution's weapon systems. Roberts had learned naval gunnery on Earth's oceans before transferring to space combat. The principles were the same: hit hard, hit fast, and keep moving. "Target their flagship," Walsh ordered. "All guns, full spread." At the Constitution's main. Batteries fired in sequence, sending streams of energy and kinetic rounds toward the Alliance command ship. The alien vessel's shields flared and buckled under the assault. On the surface of New Austin, the arrival of reinforcements changed everything. Alliance ground troops who had been advancing steadily suddenly found themselves cut off from orbital support. Supplies stopped coming. Air cover disappeared. Morale collapsed. Governor Williams emerged from his bunker to address the defending colonists. Williams was exhausted and wounded, but his voice carried across the settlement with renewed strength. "People of New Austin, help is here. Our ships control the sky. The Alliance is retreating. We held the line, and now we're pushing back." Torres organized the counterattack with military precision. His defenders had been pushed back to the colony's core, but they had never broken. Now they advanced block by block, reclaiming their homes from the invaders. "Sector 7 is clear," reported Sergeant Jackson. His construction workers' knowledge of the colony's layout had been crucial in the defense. "Alliance troops are falling back to their landing sites." Lieutenant Nelson led her engineering teams in dismantling the traps they had set for the invaders. The same explosives and barriers that had slowed the Alliance advance could now be used to cut off their retreat. "Block the main access roads," Torres ordered. "Don't let them regroup. Keep them running." Dr. Clark worked to save wounded soldiers from both sides. The Alliance troops who had been captured were treated according to human medical ethics, concept that baffled their alien captors. "Why do you heal your enemies?" asked a wounded Cathari soldier. Clark bandaged the alien's injured arm with the same care he showed human patience. "'Cause when the fighting stops, we still have to live with ourselves. Mercy isn't weakness, it's strength." The space battle reached its climax when Admiral Walsh made a decision that shocked both sides. Instead of pressing his advantage and destroying the remaining Alliance ships, he offered them a chance to surrender. "Alliance fleet, this is Admiral Walsh. You are beaten. Your ground forces are cut off. Your supply lines are broken. Surrender now, and your crews will be treated with honor." General Thrax's response came from the flagship's bridge. Alien commander sounded confused and desperate. "You could destroy us. Why do you offer mercy?" Walsh thought about the question. He could hear the battle reports from the surface, where human and alien soldiers were dying for causes their leaders had chosen. He could end it all with a single order. "Because, General, we're not monsters. We're just people who want to live." Free among the stars. The Alliance fleet commander was silent for a long moment. Finally, his voice came back, quieter and more thoughtful. "We... accept your terms." The fighting stopped as suddenly as it had begun. Alliance ships powered down their weapons. Ground troops laid down their arms. For the first time in months, the guns fell silent. The peace negotiations took place aboard the Constitution. With representatives from all the warring factions, Chief Diplomat Laura Martinez led the human delegation. Martinez had spent years mediating conflicts on Earth. Before volunteering for interstellar service, "The terms are simple," Martinez explained to the assembled aliens. "Humans will establish colonies wherever we choose in unclaimed space. We will trade freely with any species that wants to trade with us. We will defend ourselves if attacked. But we will not start wars." The Alliance delegation was led by a Zephyrian diplomat named Crystalise. The alien's body glowed with uncertainty as it tried to understand the human position. "You could demand tribute. You could claim territory. You could force us to accept your dominance. Why do you ask for so little?" Martinez smiled. "'Cause we don't want to rule the galaxy. We just want to be part of it." Dr. Simon Wright, humanity's leading expert on alien biology, made a presentation. That changed everything. Wright had discovered that the Alliance species were facing a genetic crisis from centuries of peaceful coexistence. "Your species have grown to specialized," Wright explained. "You've lost the ability to adapt to new challenges. You need genetic diversity. You need the chaos of change and growth." "Are you saying we need you?" asked the Cathari representative. "Saying we need each other," Wright replied. "Humans bring innovation and adaptability. You bring knowledge and stability. Together we can build something better than either could achieve alone." The negotiations continued for days, but the outcome was never really in doubt. The Alliance had learned that humans could not be conquered or contained. Humans had learned that not all aliens were enemies. The Treaty of New Geneva established the Terran Federation as an equal member of a reformed galactic alliance. Humans would colonize new worlds and explore unknown regions. Aliens would share their technology and wisdom. Trade would flow freely between species. Admiral Walsh stood in the Constitution's observation deck, looking out at ships from a dozen different worlds working together to rebuild what the war had damaged. Cathra vessels shared supplies with human transports. Selvan medical ships treated wounded Alliance soldiers. Captain Murphy joined him at the window. "Think it will last, Admiral?" Walsh watched a human shuttle dock with a Zephyrian cruiser. "Probably not forever. There will be other conflicts, other misunderstandings. But we've proven something important." "What's that?" "That different doesn't mean dangerous, that the galaxy is big enough for all of us, and that sometimes the best way to make peace is to show you're willing to fight for what's right." The Deathworlders had come to the stars despite being unwanted. They had fought for their right to exist among the civilized species of the galaxy. And in the end, they had made the galaxy itself a little more civilized. The war was over. The real work of building a better future was just beginning.